The world around Pip stretched in an endless wash of soft grays and muted whites. Every tree trunk, every pebble on the path, every cloud drifting overhead shared the same quiet hue. A quiet hum often filled the air, but it never brought the cheerful chirps or rustling leaves he'd heard tales of. Pip's small paws scuffed against the monochrome ground, a whisper of a sigh escaping his lips. Something felt missing, a silent ache he couldn't name. He often paused, tilting his head, as if listening for a melody that simply was. As Pip shuffled past a cluster of gray ferns, a startling speck caught his eye. Nestled amongst the dull foliage, a small, round object pulsed with an impossible vibrancy. It was a berry, a hue so profound it seemed to hum with an inner light against the muted backdrop. He froze, large eyes widening, a silent gasp escaping him. The world had always been shades of gray, and this single crimson orb was a complete mystery, drawing him closer with an irresistible pull. With a slow, deliberate movement, Pip extended a tiny paw towards the glowing berry, his small fingers trembling slightly with anticipation. Just as his paw brushed the air above it, a sudden, playful gust of wind swirled through the ferns. The red berry detached from its stem, tumbling away and vanishing into the uniform gray undergrowth. Pip's paw hung suspended, then slowly retracted. A small whine escaped him, his inquisitive eyes searching frantically for the lost splash of brilliance, now leaving only a void. Still searching for the lost crimson, Pip rounded a bend in the path and stopped dead. Before him stood a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. Robes woven from threads of pure light shifted and swirled, displaying every hue imaginable. Deep blues melting into fiery oranges, vibrant greens shimmering beside soft yellows. A long, white beard, threaded with faint rainbows, cascaded down the figure's chest. Pip's jaw dropped, his wide eyes fixed on the impossible spectrum, completely mesmerized by this walking, breathing marvel of brilliance. "Hello, little one." Professor Chroma's voice was like rustling leaves and tinkling bells, gentle yet rich. With a subtle flick of his gnarled staff, a miniature rainbow shimmered into existence above his outstretched palm, arcing with impossible beauty. "These are colors, Pip, each one a unique song, a different feeling." The small spectrum pulsed with life, casting tiny, fleeting hues across Pip's gray fur. Pip leaned closer, a soft sound of wonder escaping him as he watched the vibrant light dance. They are the very essence of joy and life, and they are fading. The air, once humming with unseen vibrancy, held a sudden stillness. A towering oak on the distant ridge, leaves usually a riot of emerald and gold, flickered. Its vibrant hues seemed to thin, like a watercolor washed away by rain, then drained entirely, leaving behind a skeletal gray. The world hadn't noticed this subtle theft, but the shift was undeniable, a quiet premonition in the heart of the landscape. Inside his workshop, Professor Chroma gestured to a small, smooth orb resting on his workbench. "This, dear Pip, is a color-sensing device," he explained, his voice a gentle hum. "It is blank now, like a new canvas, but it will awaken as you learn." He placed the device into Pip's eager paws. "The world's colors are fading, and you, my little friend, must learn to protect them." Pip, clutching smooth, blank device, stepped cautiously into the sun-dappled meadow.
A flash of brilliant movement caught his eye, and he paused. There, flitting between dew-kissed blossoms, was a butterfly, its wings a mesmerizing sapphire hue, vibrating with life. A giggle escaped him as the deep, vibrant blue pulsed against the green, a color so rich it felt like a soft hum against his fur.
Before Pip could fully register the butterfly's beauty, a sudden chill swept through the air. A swirling mass of inky black shadows materialized from behind a patch of sunflowers, silent and swift. Tendrils stretched out, impossibly fast, engulfing the vibrant blue wings. The butterfly spasmed once, its sapphire brilliance instantly dissolving, leaving behind a brittle, gray husk that fluttered lifelessly to the ground. Pip stumbled back into Professor Chroma's study, his small body trembling, the blank device still clutched tight. It took the blue," he stammered, pointing a shaky paw. Professor Chroma, his expression soft but firm, placed a comforting hand on Pip's head. "That was the color splotch monster, Pip. We must learn to fight it." He then gestured to 3 shimmering vials, one ruby red, one sun-bright yellow, and one sky blue. "These are the foundations, Pip, red, yellow, and blue. They are where your journey begins." A single, vibrant red flower pulsed with life against the muted landscape, drawing Pip's gaze. He brought his color-sensing device close, the small screen flashing red with a triumphant beep. Just as the device hummed, capturing the flower's essence in a shimmering orb, a cold, shadowy tendril lashed out. Pip ducked, feeling the wind of the monster's near miss ruffle his fur as he clutched the precious red light. Near a shimmering, still pond, a sliver of sunlight caught the water's surface, reflecting a brilliant, pure yellow. Pip's eyes widened, recognizing the hue, and he carefully extended his device towards the dancing light. A soft hum indicated the yellow's capture, and a warm glow emanated from the orb in his hand. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and a larger, more aggressive shadow lunged from behind a colorless bush, forcing Pip to leap aside with a gasp, the captured yellow safe within his grasp. Within a lush clearing, nestled amongst colorless foliage, a hidden sapphire gem gleamed with an ethereal, deep blue. Pip approached cautiously, his senses tingling, and aimed his device. As the sapphire's essence transferred into a third shimmering orb, the air crackled with a chilling presence. The color splotch monster thrashed, its shadowy tendrils whipping, trying desperately to snatch the newly acquired blue light. Pip held the orb tightly, the monster's frustrated roars echoing as he completed his primary color collection. The once vibrant world around Pip now sagged under a heavy cloak of monochrome. Where lush green forests had stood, only skeletal gray trees remained, their leaves brittle and dull. Broad meadows, once bursting with wildflowers, now stretched as vast, colorless plains. The air itself felt thin, the silence broken only by the distant, unsettling hum of the monster's growing power. The creature's hunger had left an undeniable scar, draining the very from the land. Professor Chroma, his form a ghostly outline, gestured towards Pip's collected primary colors. "These are just the beginning, little one," his voice a whisper. "Combine them and new magic will unfold. Orange from red and yellow, green from yellow and blue, purple from blue and red." He hinted at a greater power, a strength that could repel the encroaching shadows.
In the distance, the color splotch monster swelled, its inky mass looming larger, its malevolent red eyes fixed on their frail hope. Pip carefully poured the bright red and sunny yellow liquids into his humming device. He leaned closer, anticipating the vibrant orange promised by Professor Chroma's teachings. Instead, a murky, brownish sludge swirled lazily within the glass chamber. A small sigh escaped him as he stared at the unappealing mess, a dull echo of his own initial gray world. He gently tapped the side of the device, hoping for a different outcome, but the muddy swirl remained, a testament to his current frustration. A chilling shadow swept over the bustling marketplace, silencing the joyous cacophony of vendors hawking their wares. An amorphous mass of darkness descended, its tendrils lashing out with silent hunger. Fruits lost their ruby reds, fabrics faded from emerald to ash, and painted stalls turned to ghostly gray with alarming speed. A silent, consuming glide marked its terrifying progress, leaving only monochrome despair in its wake as it swelled with stolen hues. Pip, clutching his device with trembling paws, darted forward, a tiny beacon of courage against the encroaching gloom. A shadowy tendril lashed out with startling speed, a silent whip of darkness. The impact sent him tumbling backward, a sharp sting blooming in his side as he hit the ground. His precious color-sensing device clattered across the cobblestones, its delicate mechanisms shattering with a final, mournful chime. The monstrous shadow lunged, pinning Professor Chroma against a crumbling stall. Tendrils of inky blackness swirled around him, a silent, ravenous embrace. The vibrant hues of his robes, once a swirling tapestry of light, dulled and faded, siphoned away into the encroaching darkness. Even the faint glow in his gnarled staff extinguished, leaving him a translucent, shimmering gray, a mirror of his former brilliance, his form growing faint. Pip watched, transfixed, as Professor Chroma shimmered, his form becoming almost invisible, a whisper of his former self. The monster, now a towering, bulbous mass of deep, churning shadow, pulsed with an ominous new energy, its tendrils thick with stolen life. A low, guttural rumble erupted from its form, growing into a triumphant, echoing roar that vibrated through the desaturated air. The world felt heavy, completely drained of life and hope, leaving only the monster's terrible joy. Pip watched, paralyzed, as the shadowy tendrils enveloped Professor Chroma, drawing the last vestiges of light from his form. The world around him had become a barren canvas of ash and charcoal, every blade of grass, every distant hill, stripped of its vibrancy. Beside him, the once intricate device lay fractured, its gears scattered like forgotten pebbles. A cold stillness settled over the desolate expanse, broken only by the monster's silent, consuming glide, carrying away the professor's fading, translucent shape. Pip's small paws tightened around a single, dull, gray leaf, its veins like skeletal branches against his muted fur. The weight of the empty world pressed down, crushing any flicker of hope. He sank to the barren earth, the rough, lifeless dust clinging to his scarf. The silence was deafening, a hollow echo of all. Amidst the desolate quiet, a whisper, faint as a breeze through dried leaves, drifted into Pip's thoughts. Colors are not just seen, they are felt and created. Professor Chroma's gentle, firm voice resonated deep within him, a memory from a time when the world still pulsed with life. Pip lifted his head, a tiny, almost imperceptible spark igniting in the depths of his dark, inquisitive eyes. Could it be true? Pip closed his large, expressive eyes, shutting out the desolate gray. He delved deep into his memory, recalling the warmth of red, the coolness of blue, and the bright energy of yellow, colors he had once merely seen, but now understood in a new, profound way. He pictured them swirling, imagining the vibrant dance as they combined. A ripple of concentration smoothed his brow, his small body tensing with the effort. Could he truly conjure them from nothing? A delicate hum vibrated within Pip, and a faint internal luminescence began to seep through his muted fur. His small form trembled with immense concentration, every fiber of his being focused on the mental image. Then, on the barren, dusty ground before him, a miracle unfolded. A tiny, vibrant patch of orange bloomed into existence, a splash of sunset against the endless gray. He had created it. The world held a new possibility. The small device, once inert and broken, suddenly hummed with a soft, surprising energy. A tiny spark danced across its cracked screen, blossoming into a delicate glow. Instead of the familiar red, blue, and yellow, vibrant new hues of orange, green, and purple pulsed with a quiet strength. Pip gasped, a soft chirping sound escaping him as he recognized the complex beauty of the blended colors. His understanding had somehow mended the unfixable. With a newfound resolve, Pip took a deep breath, the subtle luminescence of his fur intensifying. He stood his ground as the colossal, inky shadow of the color-splotched monster loomed before him, tendrils reaching like grasping claws. The monster lunged, attempting to siphon away the light radiating from Pip's small form. However, the complex hues of orange, green, and purple within Pip's glow resisted, swirling like an uncontainable storm. A frustrated hiss echoed from the monster as its shadowy mass rippled, unable to consume what it could not understand. Gathering all his inner strength, Pip extended his paws, and brilliant beams of concentrated orange, green, and purple light erupted forth. The vibrant energy struck the monster's shadowy form, which recoiled with a guttural, screeching sound. Where the beams made contact, the inky blackness crackled and hissed, unable to absorb or contain the complex, mixed hues. Fissures of pure light began to spiderweb across its otherwise impenetrable mass. The monster shrieked, its form flickering as if struggling against an unbearable pressure. A piercing, desperate shriek tore through the air as the color-splotched monster convulsed one last time. Its shadowy form stretched and warped, then imploded inward before bursting outward in an astonishing supernova of pure, brilliant rainbow light. Waves of every conceivable hue washed over the landscape, painting the dull world anew. Professor Chroma, who had been a ghostly gray figure, shimmered and solidified, his robes regaining their iridescent glow. His staff pulsed with a soft, steady light once more, a gentle smile gracing his recolored face. A breathtaking explosion of color washed over the world, painting every leaf, stone, and sky with an intensity never before witnessed. The air shimmered with hues of emerald, sapphire, ruby, and gold, each shade more vibrant than the last. Pip stood tall, his fluffy fur now gleaming with an inner luminescence, a brilliant rainbow scarf wrapped proudly around his neck. Beside him, Professor Chroma beamed, his iridescent robes flowing as he gestured to the reborn landscape. The world stretched out before them, a dazzling canvas of endless possibilities, waiting for new stories to be painted.